It's Edexcel GCSE Maths Higher Tier Calculator Paper 2 from November 2023. Let's get straight into it. Question 1. Expand and simplify 3 brackets 2y minus 5 and 7y plus 2. I'm going to first concentrate on expanding this bracket, then I'll expand this bracket out and then I'll combine them both. So first I'm multiplying everything on the outside of this bracket by everything on the inside. So I'm doing 3 multiplied by 2y. 3 times 2 is 6, so 6y. 3 times by negative 5 is negative 15, so that's that one done. Then I've got positive 7 times by y, so 7y. And 7 times by 2 is 14. Just need to combine these. So I've got 6y and 7y that can combine, so 6 and 7 is 13. And I've got negative 15 add 14, which would be negative 1. Part B. Factorize fully 6x squared plus 5x. First thing I need to consider is what is my highest common factor of my numbers and of the letters of the variables. So of the letters of the 6 and the 15, the highest common factor of those is going to be 3. And the highest common factor of the x squared and the x is going to be x. So I'm pulling out 3x. I'll open up my bracket. And what multiplies by 3x to give me 6x squared? That'll be 2x. And if you just try it, you would get 6x squared. What multiplies by 3x to give you 15x? That would just be 5. Part C. Make g the subject of the formula f equals 3g plus 11. So if you're making something the subject, you want g on its own and everything else on the other side. So the first thing that I can see is that g is being multiplied by 3 and then we're adding 11. So we need to get rid of the 11 first. I'm going to take away 11 from both sides. So f minus 11 is equal to 3g. G is being multiplied by 3, so I need to divide by 3 on both sides. I can just write it all over 3. So f minus 11 all over 3 is equal to g. Question 2. Karen is organising a party for a charity. She spends £100 on food, £120 on a hall and £80 on a DJ. Karen sells 54 tickets for the party and each ticket costs £7.50. Work out the percentage profit Karen makes for the charity. Let's first work out the total costs. So we're going to add up all of these together. So I've got 100 plus 200, which is 300. That's my total costs. Then I need to work out how much revenue I'm bringing in, how much money is coming in altogether. So I need to multiply 54 by £7.50. So 54 times 750 is 405. Now that I've got my total revenue and my total costs, I can find out my profit. I need to take 300 away from 405. So 405 minus 300 is equal to 105. So that's my profit. It's asking me to work out percentage profit here. So that means I need to work out percentage change. And percentage change is just the change divided by the original and multiplied by 100. So what's the change here? It's 405 take away 300 and the original was 300. We started off with £300. So 405 take away 300 is 105 over 300. We'll times that by 100. So type that in, 105 over 300 times by 100, which gives us a percentage profit of 35%. Question 3. Andrew invests $4,500 in a savings account for 2 years. The account pays compound interest at a rate of 3.4% per year. Calculate how much Andrew has in his savings account at the end of the 2 years. The formula we're using here is for compound interest, and we're using the original value, the original amount, multiplied by my decimal multiplier, and we raise that to the power of the amount of repetitions. This one, you could just times it by itself twice because it's only 2 years. So the original amount here is 4,500. The decimal multiplier, because we're increasing by 3.4%, what is 3.4% as a decimal? You could do it on your calculator, you just need to divide by 100, but it would be 0.034. Because it's an increase, we do 1 add. If it's a decrease, you do 1 minus. So the decimal multiplier is 1.034. That would just be an increase of 3.4%. So I'm multiplying by 1.034, and that's raised to the power of 2. So 4,500 times by 1.034 to the power of 2, which is 4,811 and 20. £4,811.20. Question 4. Solve 5x minus 4 is equal to 52 minus x. The first thing I can see, I've got x's on both sides, so I want to try and get all my x's onto one side. And because I've got more of them on the left-hand side, it'd be better if I move this negative x over to the left-hand side. I want to try and stick with positives just to avoid mistakes. So I'm going to add x to both sides. 5x add x gives me 6x. That minus 14 is equal to 52. So x is being multiplied by 6, then we're taking away 14 to give us 52. So we need to add 14 first. to both sides. 6x is equal to 52 add 14 is 66. Divide both sides by 6, and that would give us x is equal to 11. And if you wanted to check that, you could substitute it back in, and you would get this side equal to that side. Question 5. Chris, Debbie, and Errol share some money in the ratio 3 to 4 to 2. So that's Chris, Debbie, and Errol in the ratio 3 to 4 to 2. And Debbie gets £120. So we'll write 120 below Debbie. I'm going to work out what Chris and Errol get now. Because I can see 4 multiplied by 30 gives me 120. I'm going to multiply both of these by 30 as well. So 3 times by 30 gives me 90, and 2 times by 30 gives me 60. So that might be helpful for the rest of the question. Chris then gives some of his share to Debbie and some of his share to Errol. The money that Chris, Debbie, and Errol each have is now in the ratio 2 to 5 to 3. So that means that Chris is giving some of the money to Debbie and some of the money to Errol. So the amount of money that Chris is going to end up with is going to be less, and Debbie and Errol will end up with more. The share is now 2 to 5 to 3, and we need to think, does the amount of money that we have change? The amount of money isn't going to change because we're not adding any extra money in, we're not taking any money out, it's just going to be split between these three people. So if we add up all of these, 90 add 120 is 210, add 60 is 270, we know that the total is going to be 270 here. How much money did Chris give to Errol? So we need to work out how much money goes from there to there. Let's just work this out. We've got 2 to 5 to 3 parts. So altogether, there's 5 add 3 add 2, so that's 10 parts, which is equal to 270. So if I divide both sides by 10, 1 part would be equal to 27, and now I can work out what everyone gets. So 2 times by 27 is 54, and 3 times by 27 would be 81. So you can see here, Errol's has gone up by 21, and Chris has gone down by 36, but that has been split between Debbie's and Errol's. You don't have to work out Debbie's, you can just work out Errol's. So it's gone up by 21, so 81, take away 60, which gives me 21. Question 6, the bearing of port B from port A is 147 degrees. If it says from port A, that means we're starting at port A. So port A is here. We draw a line going up north, and 147 degrees is about a straight line. It's just less than a straight line, so it looks somewhat like that. That angle here is 147, and it takes us all the way to B. We want the bearing of A from B. So this time, we're starting from B, and we're going around to get to A. So we need to work out this angle here, and we need to work out this angle here. So both of these lines are north lines, and if you take a look, these are parallel to each other. So that means we've got co-interior angles. This angle and this angle would be equal to 180. So I'm going to do 180, take away 147, which gives me 33 degrees. This angle is 33 degrees. And if you take a look, all of that is angles around a point. So we're going to do 360, angles around a point equals 360, take away 33, which is equal to 327. Question 7. The diagram shows an empty tank in the shape of a cylinder. The cylinder has radius 15, which is there, and height 43 centimeters, which is there. Water flows into the tank at a rate of 0.47 litres per minute. Calculate the number of minutes it will take to completely fill the tank. Give your answer correct to the nearest minute. I need to work out two things here. I'm going to work out the volume of the cylinder, then I need to figure out how long it's going to take to fill that cylinder up with this amount of water. What's the volume of a cylinder? If you think about it, it's a prism. So we've got a circle here. The cross section is a circle, and it's being repeated all the way through. So we need to find the area of this cross section, which is a circle, and then times it by this 43. Another way you can think about it is the formula is the volume equals pi r squared, which is the area of that circle, times by the height. So you just substitute the values into here. So we've got pi multiplied by 15 squared, which is the radius, times by 43. And I'm going to keep it in terms of pi just so that it's easier to work with later. Let's type this in. So we've got 43 times by 15 squared, which is 9,675. That's 9,675 pi. We know that the water is being filled up in litres, but right now this unit is actually in millilitres because we're working with centimetres cubed. So we need to convert this millilitres into litres. How many millilitres are there in 1 litre? So there's 1,000. So that means we need to divide this by 1,000. So my decimal point is here right now. It needs to move back 3 places, so it's going to appear between this 9 and this 6. So it's going to be 9.675 pi, and that's now in litres. Because it's filling up by 0.47 litres per minute, I need to divide this by 0.47. I'll get my final answer. So 9.675 pi divided by 0.47, which gives me 64.67. And we need to round this to the nearest minute. So I'm looking where my decimal point is. This is 5 and above, so I need to move this up to 65. So it'd be 65 minutes. Question 8. A number x is written correct to two significant figures. The result is 1.9. Complete the error interval for x. So the way we work out error intervals, we take the original number and we plus and minus the limit of accuracy, and we divide that by 2. So you might be thinking, what is the limit of accuracy here? It tells us that it's rounded to two significant figures, and the result is 1.9. So that means it's been rounded to the nearest tenth, or the nearest 0.1. So we're going to substitute the original number, which was 1.9. The limit of accuracy is 0.1. I divide that by 2, and I'm going to add it and take it away from 1.9. So 0.1 divided by 2 is 0.05. So I'm doing 1.9 plus or minus 0.05. So the smaller of the two numbers, 1.9 take away 0.05 is 1.85. And if I add 0.05, that would be 1.95. The way you can check this, if I round these two numbers both to two significant figures, that would round to 1.9, and anything below that would also round to 1.9. Question 9. Expand and simplify x plus 7, x minus 2, and x plus 3. So I've got triple brackets here. I'm going to expand two of the brackets together first, and then I'm going to multiply that one by the other one. Because I've got positives in these two, I'm going to multiply these two by each other first, and then I'll do this one last, because I want to avoid this negative to avoid making any mistakes. So I've got x plus 7 multiplied by x plus 3. So x times by x gives me x squared. X times by 3 gives me 3x. 7 times by x is 7x. And 7 times by the 3 is 21. I'm going to clean up this middle bit. So this will add up with that one. So 3 and 7 is 10. So I've got x squared plus 10x plus 21. And now I can multiply this one by this x minus 2. So x squared plus 10x plus 21. That's being multiplied by x minus 2. Before I expand these brackets, I'm going to think about how many terms do I need to end up with. I've got 3 terms here, and I've got 2 terms here. So 3 times by 2 gives me 6. I should end up with 6 terms. Like I had 4 terms here, should be 6 in this next one. So I've got x squared times by x, which is x cubed. X squared times by negative 2, which is negative 2x squared. Then 10x times by x is 10x squared, and I'm going to write it below this x squared just so it makes it easier for later on. So plus 10x squared, then 10x times by negative 2, which is negative 20x, then 21 times x, write it below the x's, so plus 21x, and 21 times by negative 2, which is negative 42. Just need to combine these, and you can see I've got 4 and 2, so altogether there's 6 terms. X cubed add nothing is x cubed. Negative 2 add 10 is plus 8x squared. Negative 20 add 21, that would be plus 1x. We would write it as plus x, and then minus 42. That's my final answer. Question 10. Shakir has to complete 2 tests. He can either pass or fail each test. The probability that he will pass the first test is 0.87. That's already on. If we know the probability of him passing, we can figure out the probability of him failing. Both of these are going to add up to make 1, because the probability of something happening will be 1. So we're doing 1 minus 0.87 to give us this number, which would be 0.13. So that's that one done. If he passes the first test, the probability he will pass the second test is 0.94. So we need to put 0.94 over here. And same as before, we can work out this one. 1 minus 0.94 is 0.06. If he fails the first test, the probability he will pass the second test is 0.73. So we can put 0.73 here. We can work out this one. 1 take away 0.73, which would be 0.27. Complete the probability tree diagram for this information. So we've already done that. Part B, work out the probability that Shakir passes at least one of the tests. So if we're looking for at least one, he could either pass both of them, he could pass and fail, or he could fail and he could pass, but we don't want fail, fail. So instead of working out all of these 3, we could do 1 minus the probability of failing twice. That's just an easy way of doing it. Instead of working out 3, we just work out this one, take it away from 1. So we want fail, and we want fail again. So we're going to multiply both of these together, take it away from 1. 1 minus 0.13 times by 0.27. That'll be our answer. 1 minus 0.13 times 0.27, which is 0.9649. Question 11. We've got 4 graphs here. The graphs of y against x represent 4 different types of proportionality. Match each type of proportionality in the table to the correct graph. So the first one is just a straight line, so it's going to be something like y equals x. There won't be anything extra. So A would be this one. Then for graph B, I can see as x is increasing, y is decreasing. So this is going to be an inverse proportionality. So I'm looking for something like y equals 1 over x. That would be that one. For graph C, I can see as x is increasing, the y is decreasing at a slower rate. So that would be a square root 1. So C would be that one. That leaves me with this one, D. For graph D, you can see that as x is increasing, y is growing quicker and quicker. So that would be y is equal to x squared. Question 12. A is the point with coordinates 7, 13. So I'm going to put 7, 13 over here. That's A. B is the point with coordinates negative 3, 21. So negative 3, 21, which would be up here. C is the point with coordinates 15, 23. So it's going to be further to the right, and it's going to be a little bit higher than even B. So it'll be about there. C is 15, 23. M is the midpoint of AB. So if I connect both of these up, M is in the middle of this, and N is the midpoint of BC. So if I join these two up, the midpoint of that is N. Work out the distance between M and N. So the goal here is to find out that distance. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. So the first thing I'm going to do is find out what these midpoints are. I'm not going to worry about this distance for now because I need the midpoints first. So to find out midpoints, I need to find the mean or the average between my x coordinates and then my y coordinates. So for the midpoint of BA, so M, we're trying to work out M, will be equal to, for the x coordinate, it's going to be negative 3, add 7, divided by 2. For the y coordinate, it's going to be 21, add 13, divided by 2. Let's just work those out. Negative 3 add 7 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 21 add 13 is 34. 34 divided by 2 is 17. So that coordinate is 2, 17. Let's do the same thing for n. So we're working out n. We're going to do the x coordinates, add them together, divide by 2. Negative 3 add 15 divided by 2. And 21 add 23 divided by 2. That would be 12 divided by 2, which is 6. That would be 44 divided by 2, which is 22. This coordinate is 6, 22. So now I've got my two coordinates. I'm just going to pull this bit out so I can just concentrate it. I'm going to pull this bit out so I can just concentrate it. I'm going to pull this bit out so I can concentrate on it a little bit more. So I've got 217 and 622. 217 and 622. The way I like to approach these questions, I typically think of Pythagoras. So I'm going to draw a right angle triangle. I'm going to work out what this distance is here. I'm going to work out what this distance is here. So from 2 to get to 6, that's a distance of 4. And from 17 to get to 22, that's a distance of 5. So the formula for Pythagoras, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Or you can just square them, add them together, and square root them. So I'm going to square root 4 squared, add 5 squared. So 16 add 25, which is 41. So square root of 41, which is 6.403. 6.403. We want it to one decimal place. So one decimal place is over here. It's just going to stay the same at 6.4. Question 13. Prove algebraically that 0.0723 and the 723 is repeating itself can be written as 241 over 3,330. So first we're going to make this equal to x. X is equal to 0.0723, and this is the bit that's repeating, so it'd be 723 and it'd go on forever. Because there's 3 digits that are repeating, I'm going to multiply it by 1,000. If there's 1 digit repeating, I multiply by 10. If it's 2, I multiply by 100. It's 3, so multiply by 1,000. So 1,000x, I need to move this 3 places, so 1, 2, 3. The decimal point is going to be between the 2 and the 3. So I've got 72.3723, and you can see that these line up with each other. That's what you're aiming for. If they don't line up with each other, that means you've done something wrong. So 7 take away 7 will give you 0, and 2 take away 2 will give you 0. That's what you're aiming for. So I'm going to take this bottom one away from this top one. 1,000 take away x, which is 999x, is equal to, all of this is going to cancel out, and I've got 72.3 take away 0, so 72.3. And now I can solve this equation. X is being multiplied by 999, so I need to divide by 999. That would be 72.3 over 999. Now it doesn't look like this, so we need to simplify it a little bit, and we don't like to mix decimals with fractions. So I'm going to get rid of this decimal by multiplying by 10 on the top and 10 on the bottom. So it becomes 723 over 9,990. And if I type this onto my calculator, it would simplify it, but you can see it probably divides by 3 from 9,990 to get to 3,330. So I'm going to divide by 3 on the top, divide by 3 on the bottom to get to 3,330. I'll just check that. 723 divided by 3, which does give me 241. Question 14. Y is proportional to x squared. So I'm going to write y is equal to kx squared. K is just this constant, this number that we're trying to figure out. It's being multiplied by x squared. It's the same number all the time. When y is 3, x is equal to 0.5. So let's substitute those in. Y is 3, k we don't know, times by 0.5 squared. So 0.5 squared is the same as 1/4. So we've got 1/4 k is equal to 3. We need to multiply both sides by 4, so 12 is equal to k. And now I can get this equation, this formula. So y is equal to 12x squared, because I know what k is now. I'm going to put a box around that one because I might need it later. X is inversely proportional to w. So x is inversely proportional, so that means it's going to be 1 over, but we can just write it as k over w. So if it's inversely, it looks like this. If it's directly, it looks like this. When x is 2, w equals 0.2. So x is 2, w is equal to 0.2. So I need to multiply both sides by 0.2. 2 times by 0.2 is 0.4 is equal to k. Now I know what k is for this one. X is equal to 0.4 over w. I'll put a box around that one. So these are my 2 equations that I'm going to need. Find the value of y when w is equal to 2. So I need to find this value of y, but I know this value. So I need to substitute into this one first, and then I'm going to substitute that value into here. So we're doing w is equal to 2. So w is 2. So x is equal to 0.4. W is 2 divided by 2, which is 0.2. So now I know x is equal to 0.2. I can substitute it into this one. Y is equal to 12 multiplied by 0.2 squared. I'll do that with my calculator. 12 times 0.2 squared, which is 0.48. So whenever you do these, do one bit at a time. Do that bit, and then that bit. That answer is 0.48. Question 15. The incomplete table and the incomplete histogram give information about the times taken by some students to run a race. So we've got this that's incomplete and this that's incomplete. None of these students had a time for the race such that t is less than or equal to 10, so there's nothing over here, and t is greater than 26, so there'll be nothing over here. Use a histogram to complete the table and use a table to complete the histogram. So we're going to need our formulas for histograms. The formula I'm going to use is frequency is equal to the frequency density multiplied by the class width. That's my formula triangle for it. Let's work out my frequency density for each of these. So frequency density is equal to the frequency divided by the class width. The class width is just the distance between these two numbers. So 12 and 16, the class width would be 4. 16 take away 12 is 4. So frequency density is frequency divided by my class width, which is 4. So that would be 2.5. This time it's divided by 3, which is 5, divided by 2, which is 4.5, divided by 5, which is 1.4. So now I can plot these onto the graph. I can figure out what my y-axis is going to be. So I'll do an easy one. So between 16 and 19 is 5. 16 and 19 is over there, so that would be 5. So I can guess that each of these large squares is going to be 1. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that does work. Now I can figure out what this one is between the 10 and the 12. It's already on the graph, so I can read the frequency density is 1.5. So my frequency density is 1.5, but I need to work out my frequency. So I need to multiply frequency density by class width. So 1.5 multiplied by 2, which gives me 3. That's my answer for that one. I just need to plot on the other ones here. So let's figure out which ones we're missing on the graph. So I can see I've got 16 to 19, which is that one, but I don't have these two. So I need to plot both of these on. So I'm going to draw a line at 4.5, which is over there, and that goes up to 21. There's 10 gaps between 20 and 25, so each gap is 0.5. So that'd be 20.5, that'd be 21. So that's where I want to draw it. So up here, just connect those, and then I'll draw my line going straight down. Just need to do this last one. So it's between 21 and 26, and it's at 1.4. 1.4 is over here, just below 1.5. It's going to 26. That'd be 25, that'd be 25.5, that's 26. So it needs to go to there. I'll join those up. Draw my line down, and that's that one done. We've got another histogram here. We need to work out an estimate for the median of the times taken by these 43 students to run the race. How do we work out the median? So normally we just find the middle number, but here, because we're working out the median of these 43 students in the histogram, we use this formula. So the median is equal to n plus 1, and that's divided by 2. So we're finding the middle position, which is the middle position. So 43 add 1 is 44, divided by 2 is equal to 22. So we're trying to find the 22nd position. Let's figure out our frequencies for each of these bars, and then we can figure out where the 22nd person is. So this one, there's a gap of 10, and each gap would be worth 0.5. So between here and here, that's a gap of 2 altogether, multiplied by a height of 2. So we're just finding out the areas of these rectangles, basically. So in this first bar, there are 4 people. In the second bar, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 4 multiplied by 2 again, which is 8. So I've got 12 people so far. I want to try and find the 22nd person. Let's count this next one. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 divided by 2, which is 4, multiplied by a height of 4, which is 16. That means I've got 4 add 8, which is 12. 12 add 16, which is 28. So I've gone past 22nd, my 22nd person. I need to figure out where that person is in relation to between these two values. So it's somewhere between 16 and 20. I just need to find out how far along they are in this class interval. So far, I have 4 add 8, which is 12 people, and I'm trying to find the 22nd person. So I need 10 more people to get to 22. So I'm trying to find 10 16ths of this bar. This gap is 4, so I need to find 10 16ths of 4, and then I need to add that onto 16. This is finding the 10th person, the 10th position in this bar, and then we're adding it on to 16 because that's where we're starting off with. So we're doing 10 over 16 multiplied by 4, which is 2.5, and add that to 16, which is 18.5. So the estimate for the median is 18.5. Question 16, ABCD is a trapezium. So ABCD is a trapezium. AD is parallel to BC. So this line is parallel to that line. Calculate the area of triangle BCD. We're trying to find this area here. Give your answer correct to 1 decimal place. How do we normally find areas of triangles? We normally use base times height divided by 2, but this time, because we don't have a perpendicular height, we're going to have to use some trig. So what formula we're using is half AB sine C. This is saying we need 2 sides, and we need the angle between them. So we have one of the sides, we're going to need this side and this angle. I'm going to concentrate on working out this angle first. So I've got this triangle. Let's work out this missing angle here. I know angles in a triangle add up to 180. So to work out this one, I've got 180, take away 112, take away 42, which will be that 180, take away 112 minus 42, which is 26. Then I need to find out this angle. I know that these two lines are parallel to each other. So I've got a C shape going on over here. It's co-interior angles. So this angle and this angle, all of it, will add up to 180. So I'm going to do 180, take away 112, take away the 26, which gives me 42. So this angle here is 42. And now I need to just work out what this side length is here. What could I use to find this side length? I've got this triangle that I'm going to concentrate on. I've got a side and I've got an angle opposite to it. So that's telling me that I'm going to be using my sine rule. And because I'm finding a length, I'm going to put the lengths on the top. So A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. Let's just label these. So I've got A and sine A and B over sine B. I'm trying to find what this one is. A is 7.9 over sine of 42 is equal to B, which is what we're trying to find, over sine B, which is 112, sine 112. Just need to rearrange this, dividing by sine of 112, so we need to multiply by sine 112. So 7.9 sine 112 over sine 42 is going to be equal to x. So 7.9 sine 112, and that's being divided by sine of 42, which is equal to 10.9467. Now that we've got this length, we have these two lengths and we have the angle between them. We can substitute all of them into this formula. So the area is going to be a half multiplied by A, which is 10.9467, multiplied by B, which is 15.3, multiplied by sine of C, the angle between them, sine of 42. Just type that into the calculator. So I'm going to use my ANS button from the previous answer. ANS multiplied by the 0.5 multiplied by 15.3 multiplied by sine of 42. which is 56.0344. 56.0344. We want to round it to one decimal place, so our line would go here. It's going to round down to 56.0, so 56.0, and the units were in centimeters, and it's an area, so centimeters squared. And you would have to write the 0.0 because we want it to one decimal place. Question 17. Show that the equation x cubed plus 2x minus 6 is equal to 0, and it has a solution between x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 2. We just need to substitute both of these in and show that there is a change of sign between them. That just means one of them will be negative and one of them will be positive. So when x is equal to 1, if I substitute 1 into there, so 1 cubed plus 2 times by 1 minus 6, we'll see what that gives us. So 1 cubed is 1 plus 2, which is 2. 1 plus 2 minus 6, which is minus 3. So we've got a negative here. When I substitute 2 in, I'm hoping to get a positive. So x is equal to 2. Substitute that in, so 2 cubed plus 2 times by 2 minus 6. See what that gives us. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8, plus 4 minus 6, that's 12 minus 6, which is 6. You can see that one of them is negative and one of them is positive. So we just say there is a change of sign between x equals 1 and x equals 2. Therefore, there is a solution between them. If you plotted this on the graph, you would just see that this graph would cut the x-axis between x is equal to 1 and x is equal to 2. Part B. Show that the equation x cubed plus 2x minus 6 is equal to 0 can be rearranged to give x is equal to 6 over x squared plus 2. So one way I normally look at these questions is the highest power I can see here is at x squared, but the highest power here is at x cubed, so I need to somehow make this an x squared. So I'm going to pull out x from this first bit and see what happens. So I'm going to factorize this first bit, pulling out x. So that inside the bracket would need to be x squared plus 2. And I'm going to keep this minus 6 outside because I can't factorize that anyway. Is equal to 0. Let's move this minus 6 over to the other side. So x bracket x squared plus 2 is equal to 6. And then I can see it's looking kind of like that. I just need to divide by this on both sides to leave me with this. So x is equal to 6 over x squared plus 2. And you can see this answer is exactly the same as this answer. Part C. Starting with x0 is equal to 1.45, use the iteration formula twice to find an estimate for the solution of x cubed plus 2x minus 6. This is just saying I'm going to substitute this into here, and I'm going to do it twice and just round my answer. So x0 is equal to 1.45. We need to find x of 1, so we're going to substitute this into here. So it's going to be 6 over 1.45 squared plus 2. Let's see what that gives us. 6 over 1.45 squared plus 2. That gives me 1.4625. So that's my value of x1. I need to substitute that in again into here because it's iteration. It just means you're repeating. I'm going to substitute it in again. x2 is equal to 6 over 1.4625 squared plus 2. So if you want to, you can just use your ands button again. So ands squared plus 2, which is equal to 1.4496. And my calculator's already rounded it, but you would have to round it yourself. 4496. Question 18. ABCD is a quadrilateral, so it's just 4 sides. E, F, G, and H are the midpoints of AB, BC, CD, and D, and they're already on. They're halfway along these lines. A to H is A. So A to H, we can write that vector as A, and we know this is the midpoint, so there to there will also be A. A to E is B, so there to there is B, and the same thing will apply here, that will also be B. D to G is C, so that will be C, and that will also be C. Prove using vectors that EFGH is a parallelogram. So we're trying to prove that this EFGH is a parallelogram. What's the definition of a parallelogram? So parallelograms are very similar to squash rectangles, where we have 2 pairs of parallel sides and we have 2 pairs of equal sides. So that's what we're going to have to prove. We're going to have to find all of these sides. Let's do the easy ones first that don't have the B, F, or C in, because we have these vectors. So we'll do E, H, and HG first. So we're going to find these two. These two will be quite simple because we have the vectors for these. So E to H, we're going minus B because we're going backwards. So minus B plus A. I'll rewrite that as A minus B. H to G is A plus C. The next ones we need are GF and EF, but we don't have this vector BC, so we're going to have to find that first. We can't go directly from B to C through F, so we're going to have to go all the way around. We're finding BC, going all the way around. To A is minus 2B. To D is plus 2A. And then to C is plus 2C. I'll rewrite that as 2A plus 2C minus 2B. And if I think about it, from there to there is this, so half of it will be B to F. So I'm going to divide all of this by 2, and B to F will be A plus C minus B, and F to C will also be the same thing, A plus C minus B. So now the two vectors that I need to find, I already did EH and HG, I need to find EF and FG. So EF and FG. E to F, we're going to go up to B, so it's B plus A plus C minus B, A plus C minus B. And these B's will cancel each other out, so we're just left with A plus C. FG, we're going F to G, so we're doing A plus C minus B. And then we're going C to G, so we're going backwards, so it's minus C. And these C's will also cancel out, so A minus B for that one. And now I can see that EH is the same as FG. And I can see HG is the same as EF. And that's telling me that EFGH is a parallelogram. Question 19. The functions f and g are such that f of x is this and g of x is this. Find g of f of negative 3. So whenever you're reading functions, normally when we read English, we read left to right, but when we read functions, we read right to left. So we're going to substitute negative 3 into f, and whatever value we get from that, we're going to substitute it into g. So let's do f of negative 3 first. Substitute in negative 3 into here. So we have 2 multiplied by negative 3 plus 3, and that's being squared. That's minus 6 plus 3, which is negative 3 squared. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So we're going to substitute this 9 into g now. So g of 9 is equal to 2 times by 9 minus 1. That's 18 minus 1, which is 17. So my final answer is 17. Part B, find the inverse of g of x. So g of x is this. G of x is 2x minus 1. The way I do this, I'm going to set this equal to y. And I'm going to rearrange this so that x is the subject. So x is being multiplied by 2 and we're taking away 1, so we're going to add 1 first. So y plus 1 is equal to 2x. X is being multiplied by 2, so we divide by 2. So it'd be y plus 1 all over 2 is equal to x. So now I've got this part. All I need to do now is I swap the x's with the y's, but I write it as my inverse function. So the inverse function of g of x is equal to, swapping this with a x, so x plus 1 over 2. Question 20. Write this fraction in the form ax plus b over cx plus d, where a, b, c, and d are integers. So I've got quite a few things going on here, but I can see all of this is in a bracket. I can see I've got a quadratic here, so it might be useful to start off with this quadratic here and just simplifying it. I'm going to factorize this. So normally I would use the AC method, multiplying 2 by minus 56, find the factors and so on. But this time I'm going to do it by inspection because 56 is quite a large number, so it might not be the best method to use for this one. So I'm looking to factorize 2x squared minus 6x minus 56. So in the first bracket, to get this 2x squared, what numbers multiply to make 2? It has to be 1 and 2. So in the first bracket, I'm going to have 2x, and in the other bracket, I'm going to have x. And then I'm concentrating on this negative 56. What are my factors of 56? So I have 1 and 56, 2 and 23. 3 doesn't go in because 5 and 6 gives 11. 5 doesn't go in, 6 doesn't go in, and 7 would pair with 8. After 7 and 8 is 8 and 7, and 8 is a duplicate, so that means we don't have to continue. After you see any duplicates, you don't have to continue. That means you've found all of them. So normally I start off with the two that are closest to each other. So in one of the brackets, I'm going to have 7, and one of the brackets, I'm going to have 8. Because they're multiplying to become this negative 56, one will be a positive and one will be a negative. I can check this. If I do 7 times by x, I get 7x, and negative 8 times by 2x, I get negative 16x. That would give me negative 9x. That's not negative 6x, so I'm going to try it the other way around. So I'm going to swap this 7 with this 8 and see if that works. This time I've got 8 times x, which is 8x, and negative 7 times by 2x, which is minus 14x. And 8 take away 14, it does give me negative 6. So it's going to be this one, this way around. Now that I've factorized this bit, I'm going to rewrite just this bit out. So I've got x plus 4 being divided by the quadratic that's been factorized, so 2x plus 8 and x minus 7 over 2x plus 3. So how do we divide fractions? We keep the first one, we flip the second one, and we change this to a multiply. So I'm going to rewrite this as x plus 4 multiplied by 2x plus 3 on the top this time, over 2x plus 8 and x minus 7. Whenever I'm multiplying fractions, I look to see if I can cross cancel. So I'm looking at this one and I'm looking at this one. I can see x plus 4 is also a factor of 2x plus 8. So I'm going to pull out x plus 4. So x plus 4 multiplied by 2x plus 3 over, and I'm going to pull out x plus 4 from here. So we need 2 on the outside, and that x minus 7 is still there. So now because I'm cross cancelling, I can cancel that out with that. And that leaves me with 2x plus 3 over 2 brackets x minus 7. So that's all of that bit done. We just need to concentrate on this 14 over 3x minus 21. So we're adding 14 over 3x minus 21. So could I factorize this 3x minus 21? I could pull out 3 from both of them. So 14 over 3 brackets x minus 7. And that's adding 2x plus 3 over 2 brackets x minus 7. So now I'm looking to add these two fractions, so I need common denominators. I've got this x minus 7 that's already common, so I need to try and make this 3 and this 2. What's the lowest common multiple of 3 and 2? That'd be 6. So I want to get this left one to 6, so I'm going to multiply everything by 2. I want to get this right one to 6, so I'm multiplying everything by 3. If I multiply everything by 2 here, I get 28 over 6 bracket x minus 7 plus multiplying everything by 3, so it's going to be 6x plus 9 over 6 bracket x minus 7. So now I have common denominators, I just need to add my numerators up. 28 and 9 is 37 plus 6x over 6 bracket x minus 7. Just taking a look at this, I'm going to see, can I simplify anything here? Can I divide through by anything? There's no common factors, so all I need to do is just make sure my answer is in this form, ax plus b over cx plus d. So I need integers for all of this, and we're just going to have to expand out this bracket on the bottom. So the same thing on the top, my numerator stays the same, 37 add 6x over 6 multiplied by x, 6x, 6 times by negative 7 is negative 42. That's my final answer. Question 21. Vicky has a collection of medals. The Venn diagram gives information about the number of medals in her collection where the set is all of the medals. A is equal to the English medals. I'll just write that just to remember. And B is the gold medals. Vicky is going to take out at random a medal from her collection. Given that the medal is gold, the probability that the medal is English is 2 over 11. Work out the number of medals in Vicky's collection. So this part is the important part. Given that the medal is gold, tells me that my denominator is going to be all of the gold ones, so all of this section. So 5x minus 3 plus x would be equal to 6x minus 3. For the numerator, because we're looking for the probability that the medal is English, we're going to choose this x here, because this x is the English medals given that they are gold. So I'm going to put x as my numerator, and that will be equal to 2 over 11. I just need to solve this equation now, so I'll cross multiply. I'm multiplying this x by 11, so it becomes 11x, and I'm multiplying this 2 by 6x minus 3. So 6x times 2 is 12x, negative 3 times by 2 is negative 6. I'm going to move my 11x over to the other side, so it becomes x, and I'm going to move this negative 6 over to the other side, so it becomes positive 6. So that's that equation solved. We're trying to work out the number of medals in Vicky's collection. So either we can substitute x into all of these, or I can create an expression and just substitute it into that. I think I'm going to do the second option just because it'll be easier overall. So I've got 7x minus 11, add x, add 5x minus 3, add 34. So 7x add x, add 5x, that's 8x plus 5x, which is 13x. Negative 11 minus 3, that's minus 14. Add 34, which would be plus 20. So this is an expression for the total number of medals, and we know what x is. X is 6, so we're going to do 13 multiplied by 6 plus 20. That'd be 60 plus 18, so 78, plus 20, which is equal to 98. That's the end of the questions for today. I'd recommend you go through all of the questions, write down the topics that you struggle with before you attempt another past paper. Feel free to contact me or reach out if you need any help with anything. Otherwise, you can just check out my channel for other papers and other walkthroughs, including the ones from this year's set. I'll see you soon.